Hello, everyone, and welcome to Burn the Shift, the podcast that helps entrepreneurs go all in on their business, and we introduce them to professionals that can help them to do so. Today, we have a very special guest. James, how you doing today, man?
Oh, I'm doing awesome, man. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Go ahead and introduce yourself and the name of your business.
Sure. So my name is James Mataczynski. I actually own two businesses that are really synergistic to each other. Where I'm at right now is actually Craft Mountain Brewing here in Bailey, Colorado. And then the second business that I'm also really excited to talk about is Craft Crate. We're doing bag and box beer built for beer. So think box wine, but built for beer.
Awesome. We're so looking forward to learning about your businesses. But before we get there, we want to learn a little bit more about yourself. So please take some time and share with us a little bit about your story.
Sure. So born and raised in central Wisconsin, specifically the Wausau area. I came from a long line of engineering background. So like my grandpa was an engineer. He's the first college graduate. And then my dad was an engineer. All of his brothers were engineers. So, really got through high school as like an engineering mindset, right? I was outstanding technology education student of the year in a high school. Treated high school as kind of a joke, to be honest, educationally. I know it probably resonates with a lot of your audience. Being entrepreneurs, we are smart and we just do not care about school.
That's a fact.
Sometimes it comes easy for us, sometimes it doesn't. But it was kind of a joke. 3.0, and I didn't even try.
Well, that's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah. And then thought that college was going to be exactly the same thing. Having that engineering mindset. I went to Kettering University in Flint, Michigan. Used to be General Motors Institute. I think that's where GM, Ford, I want to say Chrysler, but I don't know. That's where their CEOs came from, was General Motors Institute. And I was like, I'm going to be a car guy. We're going to design the next best, awesomest engine. This is going to be great. And totally fell flat on my face.
Okay, that's interesting. Was it
finally
the school?
Finally hit my ceiling, and I was just like, all right, I can't do this. So I transferred back in state into Wisconsin. Went to University of Wisconsin Platteville, where I finished my mechanical engineering degree. And then we kind of looked around, and we're just like, all right, my wife and we got married that actually January before I graduated. And my wife and I looked at each other like, what do we want to do? Like, we're free now, I guess.
That's right.
So we moved out to Colorado. Wanted some adventure in life. We thought the coasts were a little bit too expensive, and we wanted to kind of stick in kind of the same latitude, if you will. So we moved to Denver. Where came out here, got a bunch of I worked at Cabela's for a little bit. And then got my corporate job. It was in the biomedical engineering space. I was basically on the testing team, the validation. So it was a contracting firm that did validation, verification testing for medical devices. And I'm like, yes, it's a stepping stone towards towards me making an Iron Man suit. That was my goal.
Okay. Nice.
That was my goal as a 25, 26-year-old, whatever that ended up being. Yeah, so that was a lot of fun. And realized that I hated it.
Okay.
It was 80-90% of my job was Microsoft Word. And what I really wanted to be doing was, making calculations and up on the whiteboard,
Yes.
you can actually see Tony Stark and all that.
Oh yeah.
That's what I thought it was going to be. So that didn't work out. I quit, fired. I don't know how you want to put it. It was mutual. My leaving the company was mutual.
Yes.
I wasn't doing a great job and I wasn't happy. So my landlord at the time, he was like, hey, why don't you use your engineering skills and come brew beer with me?
Okay.
And I was like, what are you talking about? Got up onto that brew deck. So the brew deck is where you actually make the liquid for the beer before you ferment it. And I'm like, oh my gosh, like this is awesome. Like there's liquid here, there's hot liquid over here, there's steam, there's all sorts of like different, like this is engineering, this is awesome. We're actually making something really cool. So I did that as an intern right up until COVID, and that's when everything shut down. Everybody remembers being on a universe. It was actually on Tivoli in downtown Denver, which was Metro State University, Denver's campus.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, that was actually really hard to see, how the whole facility, the entire campus had to shut down.
Yeah.
The the silver lining of all of that was I was able to actually get a job in the brewing industry as a baby brewer,
Mm-hmm.
uh, which is extremely hard. And looking back on it now, it's extremely hard to find a brewing job with zero brewing experience. And I was really fortunate because I was able to get into a professional brewing job and learn the ropes a couple hours a day because my boss didn't want us to overlap with the front of the house staff. So I was there 6 o'clock to noon or whatever, and then they would open at 1 or 2, and
Mm-hmm.
so that's how I learned to brew, and I got good. I
Yes,
got
yes.
really good.
Yeah.
We ended up the year before I left. We ended up winning a silver medal at Great American Beer Fest, which is the biggest beer fest in the United States,
Okay.
biggest beer competition in the United States. And we placed top 10 in the world every single year that I was there. So I was there for 4 years
Okay.
there. So it was 2020 to 20, I guess it was 23. So yeah, that's how I got my skills, and that was kind of my little bit of me and a background and kind of what I'm starting to be passionate for, or what I am passionate for.
Yeah, that is awesome. I'm so glad. See, I knew that you had the brewery, but when you
Yeah.
started to explain you came from a family of scientists and engineers, that makes total sense because you can get in there and mix together those compounds and components and create a bomb or a poison or something, if you don't do it right. I mean, it eventually makes vodka somehow,
It
so
does. Yeah. Yeah.
if you're not doing it right, it can turn into something else. And that's amazing that you were able to help with those competitions. Now, what is the highest level called? Is it a brew master, or what do you call that top level that you are?
Yeah, so there are brewmasters.
Mm-hmm.
So a brewmaster certificate actually has to go to Germany. There's a whole specific program to be a brewmaster.
Mm-hmm.
Here in the United States, it's not as common to go get your brewmaster certificate. So
Mm-hmm.
usually it's like head brewer,
Mm-hmm.
and the head brewer kind of decides what are we making, a little bit of direction from the ownership, but like what are we making, how are we making it, how are we testing it, what's the process that everything needs to go through. They make decisions day to day.
Mm-hmm.
And then your brewer is your step under your head brewer. Sometimes if there's only one brewer, their lead brewer, or you're on first shift, second shift, third shift if it's a bigger operation. And then you kind of have the cellarman. So the cellarman it's exactly what it sounds like. You're in the
Mm-hmm.
cellar, you're cleaning the fermenters, you're cleaning the pumps, you're cleaning everything because we are working with microorganisms. So
Mm-hmm.
we have to nuke all the stainless steel with some really heavy duty food safe chemicals.
Okay.
And
Okay.
so to be honest, honestly, the cellarman might be the most important job of the brewery,
Mm-hmm.
even though they're like third man on the totem pole.
Right.
and
Right.
you can kind of see that in all organizations too. I can speak to that later, but you can
Yeah.
kind of see that's kind of where it comes from
Mm-hmm.
in any organization. And then below that, then you have people on the packaging line. So you have packaging line operators that sometimes, like I was when I was an intern, just putting cans onto the machine, one can
At
at
a
a
time.
time.
Okay.
It was
Okay.
brutal.
Okay. Okay. Now, real quick, because I got tons of questions because
Yeah.
it's beer and I like it. Now, when you put that can on there, of course, it's open. How do you close it? What is that? What makes the top do that?
Yeah, so it actually comes in two different pieces. So you have the aluminum body, so it's like the cup, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then you have the actual lid. And so the cup will go through the machine, and if we'll just do an open. So there's two types of fillers. There's the open top fermenter and there's a closed top fermenter. But basically the filler comes down, it fills that cup with beer,
Mm-hmm.
and then it goes on to the next process where a lid where it kind of flattens down on top of it.
Okay.
And if you're doing it right, there should be a little bit of foam that comes out. It caps it on the conveyor belt and into the seamer.
Mm-hmm.
And on the seamer, if this is the edge of the can and this is the cap, it'll kind of looks like this before you go into seamer at like a microscopic level.
Mm-hmm.
And that seamer will push it together and then crimp it down.
Okay.
And so that's how you have that perfect seal on an
Oh,
aluminum
okay.
can.
Okay. Okay.
So yeah,
Yeah. I
yeah.
know.
So it's kind of fun if you were to take a can opener,
Mm-hmm.
like in a just like a regular tin of can opener,
Mm-hmm.
and you put it to the top of a beer can, you can actually twist off that seam all the
Okay.
way around, and have like an actual cup that you could drink your beer out of if
Oh,
you really
okay.
want to.
Okay. Thank you so much for that brief side
Yeah,
quest. Because, like I said, I always wondered, and when I'm talking to a subject matter expert, why not ask them? You never know. So,
absolutely.
so you are out here winning awards in this internship. Getting better at your craft, and as we know, you have your own brewery now. So, was there a time, or was there an event that happened that made James say, you know what, I'm going to burn the ship and go all in on my own business? Was there an event that happened that started that process?
It was a slow burn. I'm not
Okay.
gonna lie, it was a slow burn. But yes, there was. I was up on the brew deck. I was making awesome IPAs. Wisconsin boy that likes his lagers, his Leinenkugels, his what Miller High Life.
Mm-hmm.
That's where it was. I'm a Coors guy now. Don't tell anybody. But Colorado.
I get it.
But but I was up on the brew deck and I'm making some awesome IPAs. Like it was the middle of COVID. We're trying to develop a new hazy IPA, and I'm up there and I'm just like, why can't I get this beer, which I know is at the time I know it was going to win an award.
Mm-hmm.
Why can't I get this to my friends back in Wisconsin? I'm like, oh, I'll just put it into a can, no big deal. Put it into a can, went to the post office, and they're like, "Is there anything explosive in here?" I was like, "Define explosive."
Yeah,
they're,
yeah, for
they're
sure.
like they're like gunpowder, da 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 da, and then they listed off pressurized metal containers, and
Okay.
I said no, and sent it anyway.
Yeah.
But that got me thinking, like, oh, you can't actually, or you shouldn't ship beer in a cans or in bottles to your different friends and family around the globe.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, and so that got me thinking of a quick story from college when I was at General Motors Institute. We were in our material science class, and the professor turns around and went off on a tangent like good professors should.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Makes
And he
sense.
said, "The aluminum can is perfect. Don't ever iterate." And don't even try. Like it's perfect. You can't make it. He's like, you can change different colors, you can do
Mm-hmm.
whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Don't change it. It's perfect.
Mm-hmm.
And that stuck in my head.
Okay.
As
Okay.
an engineer and as a builder, what I found out recently about myself is I'm a builder, I'm a creator.
Mm-hmm.
And when somebody presents a challenge, it was always in my head. And
Mm-hmm.
so when I got to thinking, how do I take my beer and give it to people? And I'm not going to use aluminum cans. Well, what else is there? And I got to start to thinking, what about bag and box? What about wine?
Mm-hmm.
Right. And then I started thinking through the engineering problems of, well, this wouldn't work for beer because it's carbonated and you're just making a giant pressurized water balloon
That's right.
essentially. So that's not going to work.
That's right.
So I kept thinking on it day in and day out. And finally, I thought of the idea of, well, what if we just put a big rubber band around it and just kept it mechanically pressurized? And that way, when you ship it, it's going to stay carbonated because there's nowhere for the CO2
Mm-hmm.
to come out of solution, and
Mm-hmm.
you lose your carbonation, which is eventually what we got issued our patent on earlier
Okay.
this year.
Okay.
So I was working on that project kind of as a side project. So I'm brewing, I'm working on this project as a side project, and I'm spending so much time uh, basically we moved up to the mountains, so it was an hour drive from the mountains down to Denver and then Denver back up here every single day. So spending 2 hours in the car, 10-hour brew shifts. You get home, you're tired, you just want to go to bed, play some video games and go to bed.
Mm-hmm.
So eventually I'm like, I need a way out. I need a way that I can work on this project nonstop full time. Right. It's not a side hustle anymore. This
Mm-hmm.
could be huge. Like
Okay.
there's a direct to consumer impact. The packaging is going to be cheaper than cans. It's going to be space saving. It's going to be environmental friendly as far as CO2 emissions. Like there's just so many pros that I have to push this forward. And then the brewery in my hometown was up for sale.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, if I could own this brewery, I can work on the brewery. I can have then time, even if it's just 2 hours more a day to work on this project.
Mm-hmm.
I can do both at the same time. And so I made the leap in November of 23. I quit my job as a brewer that I was so fortunate to get into. And I was so fortunate to be as successful as I was.
Mm-hmm.
and just decided to go all in. At that point, the ship was fully burnt, and I said, "Let's go. Let's go on to
Yes.
the next bigger and better thing,
Nice.
the brewery and craft crate, the box beer company."
Well, that's a good deal. Now, tell us all about your business. Now that you have stepped off the curb, you're out there. Tell us about, the beer that you're making. Tell us about your experience by coming over there. Tell us all about your business, James.
Sure. We'll start with the brewery first, because that's kind of been the biggest project that I've had to overcome. So, I bought the business officially April of 2024, so last year.
Mm-hmm.
And the brewery revenue wise was, I looked at the books and the books just didn't add up. And I went, you guys are cooking the books. You guys are like pushing, just to make this sale look good. I can see through some of that BS.
Mm-hmm.
Just being in the industry, you kind of know, you're like, you didn't make that much beer and sell that much beer.
Mm-hmm.
There's no way. So
Yes, yes.
if you use those books, we're up, we grew our revenue from 330,000 a year. This year we're going to hit probably just shy of 400,000.
Mm-hmm.
So to turn a struggling brewery around in a year and a half was a feat in and of itself.
Yes, yes, yes. Any business, but definitely a brewery, especially
Yeah,
with one that
definitely a
already
brewery.
had its own history, because you had to come
Exactly.
in and change the culture.
That was the hardest part.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the punchline, is that was the hardest part of getting that culture, getting the people in the community to buy into the new ownership,
Mm-hmm.
to say, hey, the beer is better. Like, it just is. When I walked into the brewery for the first time, there was a how to brew beer book on the desk, and I
Uh-huh.
went, oh boy.
Yes, yes.
So to communicate to the community, so the way that we kind of, I don't know, isolate, I don't know if that's the right word, but the geographical kind of borders of where we're at
Mm-hmm.
is Kenosha Pass. So if you take 285 out of Denver, which is, if people know where the Red Rocks concert venue is, we're like right on that highway.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, if you keep going all the way to Fairplay, which is just south of the ski town of Breckenridge, there's a pass, it's Kenosha Pass, to the county line. So that is kind of like our immediate geographical border. That's, basically everything else is mountain ranges.
Okay.
It's a
Okay.
community of about 10,000 people.
Okay.
And then we get a bunch of tourists all the time. But convincing those 10,000 people that our beer was worth a damn,
Mm-hmm.
and come visit was and still is a struggle.
I get it. I get it. It
Yeah.
is, like I said, because especially something being established, you have to work through some of the things that they were doing right, wrong, whatever the case may be, and then make it your own. Now, when you came in, did you keep those brew selections? Did you bring your own flavor to town? Tell us about what you're
Yeah,
making.
that's a great question. Yeah, I kept one beer.
Okay.
It was the only beer that had any sort of brand behind it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like when I first took over, we were getting truck drivers calling and like, "Hey, do you have this beer? I'm stopping for the night." And we're just like, "What are you talking about? Like that beer sounds horrible."
Right. Right.
It was a mango habanero blonde, right? It
Ooh.
sounds amazing,
Yeah.
and I've refined the recipe where it is amazing again. But it was the only beer that stuck.
Mm-hmm.
Everything else, there was a little bit of, anybody in small town America knows that there's all sorts of politics in small town America, and because there isn't that many people, it echoes a
Yes.
lot further.
Magnified. Yes. Magnified.
So, yeah, so I found out from their old brewer that he changed all the recipes from what he used to brew to every single beer being the same color. And I
Okay.
went, "Oh, I can't use any of those recipes," just from a spite of the previous brewer mistake. It's it's been a
Yes.
struggle. So we're formulating all of the recipes,
Mm-hmm.
from scratch, from my brewing experience. You'll see a little bit of, if you come check it out. You'll see a little flavor, from my beer from my previous
Okay.
experience, my previous life. So
Makes sense.
drawing inspiration from that. And then the great thing about the beer world is that you can draw inspiration from each other. Nobody's like guards their secret.
Yeah.
It's awesome. You're
It's
just like, "Hey, how do I get this flavor in this beer?" They're like, "Oh, just do this," and you're like, "Awesome." And so you ask, like you said, domain experts.
yeah.
Uh, their take on how to make different styles, and that's just how we built our tap
Nice.
menu.
So you got the brewery going, you got the
Yep.
different flavors coming in. Tell us a little bit about the brewery in itself, opening, events. Tell us all about some of the things that are happening inside of the brewery.
Sure. So one thing being on the 285 corridor in just up the hill, I'm going to call it. It's an elevation change of like 4,000 feet or something like that. 3,000 feet. So up the hill.
Okay.
is a concert venue. So
Okay.
we actually have live music going on every single Friday and Saturday, even through the winter time. That was something that scared me. Is just like you're paying money to an entertainer, and if nobody shows up, you're like, well, I'm out that money.
Yes.
But it's one of the biggest draws that we have is getting the live entertainment coming out. We like to do monthly events. So our third Thursday of the month, we do bacon and bonfire when we can actually have fires here in the Rockies.
Oh yeah, because it is a hazard.
Yeah, it's a wildfire. It's
Yes.
a real thing. We're in wildfire country, like
Okay.
Atlanta is probably hurricane country. We're
Yes.
wildfire country.
I get it, man.
Yeah.
That is crazy. That is an issue I wouldn't think about geographically being an issue there because it's always raining over here. I think it snowed last night. So
That's awesome.
it's okay.
I wish we had some snow.
Oh man, well it's opposite of for us. We don't necessarily want it, but it was cold. It was like 25 degrees last night. It was ridiculous.
That is
but
cold.
yeah, it was cold for
Yeah,
us. But it'll be 50 today, so it's okay.
There you go.
We have
There you
all
go.
seasons in the same day. So so you got your concert venues going on. You
Yep.
got your bacon and bonfires. Now you mentioned something else as far as with the technology and the patent of your other thing. Tell me a little bit
Yeah.
about it because instantly when you said it, I was like, well, I got to go online and get that down here. Tell me about it.
So as I've been working on the brewery, I've also been working on my other company called Craft Crate, and that's the bag and box beer built for breweries. The pitch to consumers is think boxed wine, but built for beer. So you're going to get draft quality beer at your house or wherever you are. From your favorite brewery.
Okay.
So the company is a B2B company where we sell directly to the breweries, and the breweries for a couple $100 basically have the equipment, which is a couple of hoses and some fittings, can fill these boxes. And so they fill these boxes, and then in the state of Colorado, at least, you can sell it at your brewery to go. Or these breweries can sell it in liquor stores by themselves. They actually don't even need a distributor in Colorado.
Oh,
Yeah, I know
okay,
it's
okay. I was
crazy.
about to say in
Yeah.
Georgia, I don't know, but I guess it's all
No.
state specific.
It's state specific. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's very, very state specific. I think
Okay.
Georgia is one of the more restrictive as far as distributing your product. So
Okay.
every state has their own challenges. But anyway, so I was being an engineer, I was trying to do this all myself, and I got to a certain point where I maxed out my skills. Like I just couldn't get some material requests. I couldn't get a lot of like samples, things like that, because I didn't have an engineering firm. So we hired a packaging engineering firm. She actually was on the original design team for boxed wine.
Okay.
So she's already familiar with the space. And I pitched her this idea, and she goes, "Oh, that's cool."
Okay. Well, good. Well, good.
So yeah, so right now we're still in development. We don't have a product yet.
Okay.
But we just launched our website. It's actually craftcratellc.com. Just launched that. It's so you can go there and get the full details. But basically, where we're at right now is we're just about to get a working prototype where you'll be able to. It'll be the right shape. We're going for. We're still on the fence between 3 and 5 liters, and so in American units, it's between 6 and 10 pints of beer.
Okay.
Fully carbonated beer, you'll actually get a little bit more, but 6 to 10 pints of fully carbonated beer.
I'll take that.
So we're getting a working prototype right now, and then after we get the working prototype, we're going to need to raise a bunch of money to actually finish the product and actually get inventory and actually start selling into breweries, which happen to be my friends, which is great. There's a dozen different breweries here in Colorado that I could drive up to and just be like, hey, do you want to buy some of these? And they'll be like, sure.
Yes, yes, yes. That's what I was going to ask next. I was going to say, who in this, well, in the other business, it's our local city, and it's our tourists and our truck drivers and our band goers. But on this one, you would say it's going to be more of a brewery would be your end user for this?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So our direct consumer that we would be selling to would be breweries.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, so
Okay.
these breweries would get the crates. They would fill them up with their beer, generic labels, and then they can put their own labels on it, stickers, all that good stuff. And then they sell it to their network. So it's kind of like an upsell at the counter, right? Where people are just like, hey, you loved that beer. Do you want it to take some for home? And everybody's like, a couple beers in, yeah, that'd be awesome.
Yes, yes, yes.
So
yes, I know we're in the planning stages, but with that particular product, what's your estimated time of freshness on the bag?
That's a great question. Yeah, so we did initial benchtop testing, and our freshness retention, that's tough to say, tongue twister. It shows that it's right now it's about 3 months.
Okay.
But that's all the further that we tested, right? We haven't tested 6-8 months, a year out.
Okay.
The bags are triple lined polypropylene, polyethylene, nylon. It's probably too specific. Sorry, I'm an engineer.
It's fine. It's fine. We need to know.
It's triple lined, so we're finding that there's no like ingress of atmosphere into the beer, and there's no loss or minimal loss of CO2 out of solution. So,
okay.
Yeah.
Well, cool, man. That is a magnificent thing. For everyone else who's listening, it's too late. He already has the patent, so you just got to buy it from him. And I definitely appreciate you sharing that. And James, I am confident that over your experience going through high school, being around the scientists as family members, college, being the brew intern, and now the business owner yourself, you have acquired and mastered a bunch of business skills and some best practices that have helped you to see some success. Do you mind sharing with the audience that is watching some of those best practices they can add to their mix?
Sure. I wasn't quite sure what to say on this, and I've been thinking about it a lot. But I think there was a podcast from Simon Sinek, his most recent one with, I forget the company, out of Phillips, Wisconsin, and they preached about, or they were talking about taking care of your people, right? And I think you ask any business owner, their number one problem is always people, in HR, and it's the biggest struggle of anybody. I actually recently had to let quit fired. Had to let one of my my brewer go. There's a couple bad batches of beer that were just not up to my standard. And it really got me thinking, like, I need to start focusing more on the people, because the people that I do have, my COO at Craft Crate took a lot of time curating him, building him up. He just got married last week, and so we're about to ready to go full ham on fundraising.
Yes.
And my GM here at the brewery, those have been my right hands in both the businesses.
Okay.
And if anybody's thinking about getting not out of their business, but working on their business versus in their business, you need people, and you need to develop your culture to support those people. Everybody has different motivations in life and different motivations on why they're working for you or with you, honestly. And you need to know those motivations. So the way that I like to think about it is kind of a circular, right? I'm working for my employees are working for the business, and then in turn the business works for me, right? So if you have this synergistic mindset of how can I support my people, how can I give my people the tools, the assets to succeed. If they succeed, your business succeeds, which means that you get to also succeed and go do something else or purchase another synergistic business. Like I'm thinking about a couple different breweries across the nation that are just up for sale and they're really, really cheap.
Yes.
And so we're like, if we can develop a culture and we can develop systems and we can develop all of these tools to support our people, specifically the people, not so much the business, because the people will create their own systems inside of your systems to make the business work. So take care of your people, know your people, and your business will do okay.
Man, that's just Excellent words of wisdom there. As you were sharing that and you said you got to figure out, what makes your people tick. I was thinking about seek to understand, seek to understand these people, see what's making them work, see what motivates them, because ultimately, if they're happy, they will help the business. And then I love your analogy of how the business helps you. So you work for the people work for the business, and then the business allows you to do all the other things. Thank you so much for sharing that about those skills. That was magnificent. I definitely appreciate that. And all of the other things that you've spoken about today, sharing about your story and the business skills. And, I want to take a small pause on all the business stuff and then just talk about James the man here. So let's just say that you got it all going. Culture is good. Got the brewer in there. He's not messing up batches and it's flowing out. And then you actually get your prototype up and it's going. Time and money is not an issue at all. What is it that James would do with his time?
I would still be building stuff.
Okay.
And I leave it vague because being ADHD, you always find different niches and different things that you want to go build, right? Like building my own computer, building my own businesses now, because it's been the next challenge, building my own sheds and potentially house. I would still be building something, right? Building a life for myself. And my wife and I recently, I think it was last year, we went trick-or-treating on this ranch, and we stepped out of the car, and it was in this bowl of a mountain bowl, a basin, and we looked around, and they had a couple hundred acres and a bunch of farms. They had horses, and we kind of looked around, and we're just like, this is what we want. This is the end goal, right? To build all of these businesses that help communities, that drive communities across the nation. And for us to just take a little slice of heaven and build something really cool. So at the end of the day, I would still be building businesses. I would still be building computers. Still be building cars, like you name it. I'll still be building stuff, but it would be kind of like the Mountain West here with maybe like a buffalo ranch or something. That's kind of what I would be doing.
I got you. As you explain it, and I see the pictures behind you, I said that is some Yellowstone action he has going on back there. That's what I'm talking about. Now, tell me about the paintings. Is that a local artist? That's the wife.
Yeah, local artist.
Okay,
yeah. I think one of the biggest keys of the brewery is to drive local community engagement. And so her paintings up here, I mean, she sells a couple of them every single weekend out of the brewery, and then she just keeps bringing them in. And it's great, and it helps us because then I don't have to decorate. I'm a builder, not a decorator.
I said no decor. I don't have to do any decor situations in that.
Exactly. And so she can come and sell her paintings, and then we have a couple other walls for a couple other different local artists and some local announcements, things like that. So we're kind of the local watering hole. There's a lot of politics that get talked here, both local and national politics, and it's great because it's an all-inclusive place where people can come, have a beer. We have some NA spirits too. Have a beer, have a cocktail, have a whatever, eat some barbecue and talk smart and actually get to know each other.
Awesome.
That's what it's all about.
So talking about that, I want you to share with us contact information, location information, give us the directions of how to get there to your brewery. So tell us all about how to get in contact with you.
Sure. I think the best way to do it is through our websites, because our social media handles are on our websites. So the brewery is craftmountain.beer. I didn't know that .beer was a thing, and I just love how it sticks. So it's craftmountain.beer, all spelled out. We're in Bailey, Colorado. So if you were to take Highway 285 out of Denver, southwest out of Denver, you can also come up the back way from Colorado Springs. It's kind of, if you were to draw an equilateral triangle between Denver, the Springs, and then go west, you'll find us. And just up the hill from Red Rocks.
Yes,
we're behind the Conoco in Bailey on Main Street. So it's kind of fun that I have a business on Main Street. I never thought that would happen. Man. Craftmountain.beer, and then to check out Craft Crate. Right now we are raising angel money to get this project off the ground. engineering time's not cheap. Molding, dye injection molding is not cheap.
Mm-hmm.
So we're raising money for that right now. If you want to come and support us, at the very, very least, our social media handles are on there.
Mm-hmm.
It's craftcratellc.com, all spelled out, CraftCratellc.com, because Craft Crate was taken. We're working on that.
Right. Nothing wrong with that.
And you can come check us out. You can go see everything that I was talking about and more. Like I said, follow us on those social media handles at the bottom of the website. If you're a brewery owner and you're like the idea, there's a brewery owner page that you can always let us know, hey, I'm interested in this. You can send me an email there and we can stay in contact, and you can be part of our incubator, where we will send crates out to you. I might even come out and help fill it. I love being at different breweries.
Yeah.
And then if you're an investor or you're an angel investor, accredited, you don't even need to be accredited investor. You can always go on our website and go to our partnership tab, and then you can say, hey, I'm interested. Let's set up a meeting for you to pitch me, essentially.
Yes.
I'll send you a check.
Oh, okay. Nice.
Talking about investment. Yeah.
Well, that's a good deal, man. I just wanted to say that was the most engineer way to explain it. Just draw an equilateral triangle. I said, I've never heard anyone give directions like that before. But thank you so much for coming on the show today, man. It's been a big pleasure. Lots of smiles, lots of excitement. And we truly do appreciate you and all the guests that come on the show. And we always love to give you guys the last word. So please look into the camera and tell the people something good. So
it's not easy. Being a business owner is not easy. I know Cody Sanchez kind of describes it as you need to have your head in your hands moment if you're going to make it in this world. And I'll tell you, in a year and a half, it's been a couple of times.
Mm-hmm.
How are you going to make payroll? How are we going to pay the electric bill? How are we going to? It's not easy.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But what anybody that's listening to this, if just remember one thing, that it does get better. And the only way that you fail is if you stop.
Mm-hmm.
And so you gotta keep going at as much cost as you can give up, without obviously hurting your friends and family, because there's going to be micro losses every single day, and embracing those micro losses is the only way that you're going to win. And
Mm-hmm.
so, I'm very early in my journey. And if an engineer from Wisconsin Northwoods can really do it, anybody can do it. So,
Gotcha.
Just be grateful for what you have and just keep going, because you can do it.
Awesome. Thank you so much for sharing that. Truly do appreciate you coming on the show with us today.
Yeah, thanks for having me. It really was a lot of fun.
Absolutely. And to everyone that is watching, be kind and thanks.